The opening section is nice and easy to set up by only interacting with 5 panels. There are 6 panels in total, but only one of them is incorrect. To do this quicker, you're going to look for the odd one out and shoot the rest of them. You don't need to scan every single panel in order to proceed. After this, you'll encounter the trip mines. You can eager reach through them to safely get past through. And on your way down to the first encounter, the final 2 trip mines are very difficult to disable, and therefore you can fall through them, but be very careful when doing so, as they're very easy to activate by accident. In the first encounter, your goal is going to end up being for you to do a final room that you feel the most comfortable doing quickest, whilst the first room being the room that you don't like doing the most. This is because the final room you do spawns the biggest brig, and you want to get there as quickly as possible and give yourself as much time. I did the brain room first because I do not like the jumping puzzle, and I know that it is also the longest. Upon picking which rooms you're going to do first and then which one you're going to do last, it will give you enough time to kill the final break relatively easy without rushing too much. If you end up to happen drop the ball into the void, you can set up the room again without needing to wipe. In terms of the mini bosses, Lord of Wolves does their job really well to clear them out quickly, and it does a really good job for the breaks. For the breaks, ideally I recommend using burst supers like Nova Bomb for Warlock, T-Crash for Titan, and the Knife for Hunter. Once again, each room has 6 panels, of which 2 are incorrect. Therefore, ideally you want to find the 2 odd ones out and shoot the rest. Again, you don't need to scan every single panel the moment you know which ones are incorrect. And to make the running much more easier, I recommend dropping the ball to kill the freezing shanks and then move on. If struggling with survivability, you can instead use Risk Runner to get extra damage reduction against arc damage, and that way you could use a linear fusion for the mini bosses and the brig, because you should have a super by the time you get back. However, the ad density in this encounter isn't too high, and therefore the wolves will do fine. For the first traversal, you can quickly grab the first core by quickly opening the door on your left and kill the first captain. In my case, the captain for some reason spawned in my room before opening the door, which made it easier. It's a 50-50 chance whether you'll make it in time or not to get the core. If you don't get the core, you're going to have to head up the hallway to your left to get the first core and head all the way back. To make this trip easier, you can activate invisibility to avoid the servitor's attacks to make it easier. Whilst invisible, you're going to head to the door in front of your starting point for the first dunk. After the first dunk, and acquiring your second core, head back to the door you came through and head to your right to head to the second dunk, whilst making sure that every door is disabled on the way to have enough energy to open all the doors required. The third dunk is a little bit tricky because the mini boss is guarding the way out, and usually the servitor boss camps alongside that mini boss or next to the dunk. Ideally you're going to want to super the mini boss to quickly get rid of it, and ideally leave one red bar to activate invisibility and safely dunk. If you haven't procced invisibility, then make sure that the boss used his laser attack first to prevent an easy death. The fourth dunk is really easy because it is right in front of you with just one doorway. You can easily activate invisibility because there's plenty of red bars around you. Dunk it. And for the fifth dunk, again activate invisibility and head straight to the door on your left. But if you're struggling, wait out for the boss to do his laser attack and then activate invisibility and head to the door. Then once in that room, make sure to turn off the door behind you, head to the back and to your right and jump through the wires. Once through the wires, activate invisibility and head straight towards the final door, dunk the final core, and well done, you have passed the servitor maze safely. Onto the second encounter, which will be your first boss. This encounter is progressed by killing the invisible Marauders, which are spawned by killing the captains. These are the enemies that progress the spawn rate of the priest, which you need to progress the encounter. In order to spawn him quicker and spend far more or less time in the arena, just camp the spawn point in the middle of all the enemies. The invisible guys will spawn right in front of you, and a weapon that does a really good job of clearing these guys out is by using a area denial grenade launcher. When you get teleported up by killing the priest, to avoid silly little mistakes and quick deaths, stick to the left side of the arena at the back and shoot your area denial grenade launcher as you're falling down, as you're going to see in the video, which will create a line in which if the shanks go through it, and because you're sticking to the left, they'll mainly go through that direction you shot. They'll come through it and they'll easily die. Weapons with destabilizing rounds, incandescent, anything that does really good at clear here will shine. Ideally you want to stick to that area till you see that no more shanks are coming, and then you can quickly take care of the snipers and move up the moment you see the message that a carrier has appeared. Sometimes you will get flanked accidentally if you stay a bit too long on the right side or middle of the arena, as that way the shank will just pick a different route to you, so stick to the left. In order to safely disable the boss, kill the buff shank with your tractor cannon to get a speed buff to get quickly away from the boss. To safely activate the clone and not to die, you can actually go to the right side and hug the metal object and then spawn your clone inside that object, and then just back up and wait for the clone to explode. That way you are from a safe distance and the bombs can sometimes reach you, but only one or two will hit you, and after that just write down the numbers in your chat and repeat everything again. For the damage strategy, I found it easiest to be done on a Titan, but I have also tried out to do it on a Warlock and it's also okay. Sorry hunters, but I'm not really skilled enough with the hunter toolkit to tackle this dungeon. In order to set up the damage easily, you're going to shoot any 3 numbers that are far away from the dunk station, and the last one should be shot closest to the dunk in order to start the damage as quickly as possible. When you shoot the 3 numbers, you are going to stop for a moment. On your Titan, you're going to put down a barricade on the left side and then shoot the final number, dunk. The moment the shank appears, that's the start of your damage time. So you're going to quickly kill it with your tractor, quickly run up to your barricade and put the clone in the barricade. Essentially you want to be behind the barricade so when the bombs come down you won't take damage. After that, you're going to destroy the clone with your tractor, and then you're going to tractor the boss, pop Transcendence, throw your grenade, and then spam your Glacial Quake Super for hopefully an easy 3 phase. Unfortunately, I had bad luck and therefore I had a 4 phase, but man, I'm taking this as a 3 phase, whatever you say. On the Warlock, it's the same setup again with the numbers, but instead of a barricade you're going to put down the healing rift on the left, then spawn the clone, tractor the boss, activate your Transcendence, and use your Nova Bomb with Star Eater, and then spam your Arc Slide for an easy 4, maybe 5 phase whilst activating your tractor in between to keep up the debuff. One last thing, on Titan, also make sure to use your Star Eater prismatic class item. As a side note, do not activate your Transcendence before deactivating the clone. This is because when you pop Transcendent and then spawn the clone replaces your grenade ability, which means the moment the buff disappears off you to start damage, you won't be able to throw your grenade for a second or two because it's recharging, breaking the rotation. The grenade plays a vital role in this rotation because it suspends and jolts the servitors, and that's what makes them stay close for a little bit before they start to wander off. The final traversal from the second boss to the final one, in my opinion, is the most difficult and dangerous one. This is because there's a lot of lightning included and slippery slopes that you can easily fall off. After you've killed the servitor boss, there should be plenty of special ammo in the arena. I recommend swapping to a sniper, and then when proceeding, snipe away all the enemies on the upper platform in front of you. This is because the brig hits quite hard and the snipers are really good at tracking you on the way to that platform. When climbing, you'll encounter more lightning. I recommend moving on after the leftover effect has worn off, because it does tick damage even after the initial impact. Halfway you'll encounter this looking white bridge platform with, I believe, 3 lightnings striking nearly at the same time. When you approach that, you want to stand at the bottom in between the first 2 lightning shots and don't move till the after effect is gone. Then slowly proceed onto the next platforms and just wait for the effect to wear off. When you enter the trip mine room, you can either eager edge through the door and trigger the first set of trip mines, or you can run through it. Then you're going to want to carefully deactivate all of the trip mines one by one, whilst keeping a good safe distance, because they are quite close to each other, so shooting one can trigger 2 or even 3 after. And then the final section of the traversal involves a lot of lightning strikes occurring relatively close to each other, and that is the most dangerous part. What I would recommend is taking your time, one platform at a time, and you'll easily make it. And now we have arrived at the final boss, the Corrupted Puppeteer, aka the most hardest boss known among the community, but the easiest to perform the execution to pass this. Your loadout should involve Risk Runner. This is because 90% of the damage in all of the rooms where the clones are active, arc damage is present, and therefore having the damage reduction from Risk Runner makes taking shots very forgiving. And the cool thing is, it's even active if it's stowed. The strategy to make the setup as easy as possible: first kill both sets of the clones by putting the clone in the middle of the stairs, and then dunk each buff separately. After that, you can obviously scan the numbers. If you do forget what number it was, you can always scan the number again by walking up to the pillar, so don't guess. I highly recommend getting used to where the numbers are in the room to make the process much more easier. After you have done this, you're going to drop always at the left side of whichever side the game tells you to go to. This is because you can very quickly turn into the corridor without being surrounded by the radiation clone. In order to make these rooms easier, pick up the suppressor buff, disable the radiation debuff from the clones, dunk the suppressor back in, and then proceed with the encounter setup. To make this easier, I highly recommend telling yourself where the scanner is and where the operator is to quickly dunk the operator once done. In order to safely dunk the operator after shooting the panels, make sure to shoot the last panel closest to your operating dunk station. That way it puts the boss through an animation that essentially stun locks him, making it very easy for you to perform the dunk animation. The one thing I highly recommend not doing is do not use strand abilities. This is because if you kill a clone that has been damaged by strand ability, they will leave a tangle. And the game, for some reason, prioritizes the tangle over the core. After you have acquired the core, make sure to dunk the scanner back in, and then proceed to dunk the core. You only have to dunk the scanner and the operator once on the first round. On the second round, it doesn't matter. If you're using Titan for damage, I highly recommend using Arc Titan this season with Bolt Charge Barricade. A very obvious, easy combo to set up that results in an easy 4-phase, 3-phase if you get lucky. And the way you're going to do it is you're going to go to the left, you're going to camp above the bunker on the left side, put down your barricade, making sure that it points towards the boss and covers you from all angles. That way you're going to take a very minimum amount of damage, resulting in small amounts of flinch, and then you can trigger a lot of bolt charge with your Queensbreaker. Queensbreaker is really good because it has a lot of ammo. This season, linear fusion rifles weaken, increasing the overall damage, and bolt charge heals you. To make this more optimal, you can actually use Falling Star exotic to use your first Thunder Crash, and after that swap into the Mask exotic. I'll show it right here on the screen. What this does is upon taking damage, you end up getting more class ability. This means that you can constantly keep up your barricade. After the boss's second teleportation, clones are going to spawn on the main platform, and you're going to immediately kill the glowing one to drop the core. This is up to you how confident you feel, if you want to extend the damage and deal more damage, or escape. Honestly, escaping will still result in an easy 4-phase, but if you feel very confident, you can go with that extension. Upon running out of ammo, there are 2 choices you can do. You can either loadout swap into Euphony to keep up that weaken damage, or you can use the Monarch for that quick bolt charge cast. You can quite easily pop off 2 Thunder Crashes if you do this setup, and it's very safe. If, however, you don't like doing that, there is one option that has been around for quite some time outside of the seasons, and it is to use Lost Signal with Anarchy, and then you just spam those with Thunder Crash. You can use your 1-2 punch shotgun to walk up and do some extra damage, and that is still a solid 4 phase, even 3 because you can proc bolt charge. So this is something that you can use outside the season, and or if you don't feel like camping in that corner. On the other hand, if you like using Warlock, I'd actually recommend not extending the damage and instead just use Thunderlord to activate bolt charge. Your approach is going to be either again camp on the left side where the bunker is, or on the antenna on the left front, and I just recommend using Thunderlord with Nova Bomb, Stag equipped for extra damage reduction from your healing rift, and it should be an easy 4-5 phase. But because this season we also get the damage reduction from using a machine gun, that means we can't really die. If you want to be a bit safer, you can use Song of Flame to get that extra damage reduction when you run out of your Thunderlord ammo, and to cast that healing rift to essentially not die and easily escape. You can also end up using a fragment on your Warlock to make your prismatic grenade weaken to squeeze out that extra damage. And that's it, that's all I have for this guide. To be honest, because of the strategies that the entire communities came up with and how I tested quite a lot of this in my own time, I realized that the final boss really isn't that difficult because the entire platform you're essentially ignoring because you're no longer really being affected by the lightning strikes, and because we were camping in a corner, clones on the left can't really hit us that well anymore, so we're even further reducing the risk, and obviously you can just ignore the extension of the damage. So that's why in my opinion this boss really isn't difficult. The only difficult part is managing your speed when setting up the damage, but then again, the mechanics within this dungeon have been taken from the Deepstone Crypt raid, so there isn't anything new except the numbers. And because of this, I don't really believe this dungeon is as difficult as people say.